Not all stories are chronological or on time, especially when considering the tale of Quentin Tarantino. This is not a Tarantino movie. This is a Tarantino ripoff. I blame Tarantino and myself. With Dylan McDermott or Dylan Mulrooney, Nancy Travis, Jimmy Belushi, and Tracy Walter with a big punch of QT. Tonight we discuss Destiny Turns on the Radio. Yada, yada, yada. I'm Scotty R37, Cat's on Brain Detail, and Steve does not support this decision. Hey, Cat, what's going on?
I don't know. You didn't happen to receive any funny messages today, did you?
No, you know what? I don't know anything about anything.
Any
And for
logo you
that,
might
I
have
am very
received?
sorry.
Any message that you might have received last night?
No, what happened?
You might have received a message from a friend of the channel by the name of Tom Junior Jackson.
Oh, I love Tom Junior Jackson. How is he?
He's fantastic. He told me all about the National Movie Theater Day that's coming up on Saturday the 3rd, where apparently it's $3 movie tickets nationwide.
Nice.
I guess this is a new thing they're doing to try and promote people coming back to theaters.
Cool.
It's a shame there's not really anything good out right now.
Yeah.
But,
and so is Destiny Turns on the Radio one of the films?
No, that's definitely not playing at a theater.
I'm so sorry about any of this.
I was confused by this movie within the first 5 minutes, trying to follow the logic, even when they got to the motel.
The Maryland motel.
I mean, that's kind of a unique, it's like a real tacky Vegas hotel. For some reason, they have the palm tree painted blue outside. The pool is painted yellow and there's no water in it. And none of the characters have any depth, and there's no reason to care about the guy's romance with his ex-girlfriend or why his former partner in crime is working as the super at the motel, basically.
Right.
Johnny Destiny kind of shows up sporadically throughout the movie. And it's like, is he real? Is he not? I kind of was like, what the fuck am I watching? When you had the shot of him in the pool where he's like getting electrified, and it's like, oh, the pool has water now. And then afterwards, the water kind of disappears. But there is a couple interesting tidbits about this movie. I found out this is actually David Cross's first movie role.
Wow. You know what? I was surprised to see David Cross in this film and excited as well.
Yes. And the redeeming quality of this film, I would say, is that it has Tracy Walter in it, a national treasure as far as character actors go. I looked it up. Like, apparently he's retired. His last TV credit was a decade ago, and his last film credit was like 6 years ago.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, though. So I like that he had more of a... Usually he only shows up in movies in like cameos or small supporting roles, and here he actually got some decent amount of screen time, which I liked.
Do you want to get the bullets out of the way right now?
I don't know, because I couldn't honestly follow much of the plot while I was watching it. It's like, okay, this guy broke out of jail. These two cops are hunting him. Somehow Jim Belushi figures into it. I couldn't figure exactly why he's to care about it. And they did have a funny line during the car chase sequence where one of the cops is like, he made an illegal U-turn, and the guy's like, we'll just add that to the list.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you usually don't hear about cops considering things like that when you're chasing hardened criminals. It's like, oh, let's add like a little date list of tack of each thing that we're doing. But and I don't recall if they even spoke of how the heist went down, or specifically, I mean, it's certainly not a Reservoir Dogs thing where they chose not to show the heist out of artistic reasons. It's just, there was a heist, and for some reason the money's gone. I honestly don't remember why. I think Johnny Destiny had something to do with it.
Johnny Destiny just stole it.
Yeah, he stole it, and something happens at the end of the movie where Johnny Destiny shows back up, and the Dylan McDermott character is kind of happy with him for some reason. But it's just, I still can't figure out why the Johnny Destiny character is supernatural, or what the purpose was in that.
Well, I think he's a physical manifestation of destiny and luck. Like when he meets the lady at the beginning of the movie, he does say, luck changes, and she has a moment.
It just didn't seem like anything amazing to be worthy of actual destiny happens in this movie. It's like, okay, a guy broke out of jail, gets a ride to Vegas, hangs out at a tacky motel, meets up with his ex-girlfriend, and some cops and a bounty hunter or whatever try and catch him. And it's like, okay, the dialogue is just,
Right.
It's a bit rough to say the least. Like this,
So how many bullets? How many bullets?
like 1.5.
I give this 4.
Really?
Yeah, I give it 4 out of 10, and that's even in comparison to the rest of the Tarantino oeuvre.
That's a lot of praise.
It is a lot of praise. It looks so 90s. It looks exactly like a Tarantino ripoff, which is exactly what it is. But it's fascinating because Tarantino is in it.
Well,
These people are trying so hard to make the next Pulp Fiction. Like,
would you like
oh,
me to quote that review, or do you have it on hand?
I would love it. You say it better than I do.
All right, I'm gonna. So basically, I was on Letterboxd when I looked up this movie to find out if it was on any streaming services. Unfortunately, it was not. Despite being produced by HBO Films, it was not. According to Letterboxd, it's not on HBO Max, but I didn't bother checking, so I'm gonna hate myself if it was, and I just, you know, didn't. If I missed out on it, because it's like, oh, I paid for this. Let's see. Here we go. We got to pull this up real quick. Loading. Oh, I clicked on the link. I should have just gone there. Oh, also just.
It's fine. Like, I'm an hour late, so who cares?
This is. You did say this was going to be a meta review, and I guess that's kind of. See,
Well, we're like the movie is so, and that's why I want to get the
Here it is.
movie out of the way as quickly as possible, is because the movie doesn't matter. I think that this is a perfect movie to review in the middle of a Quentin Tarantino sort of retrospective, because this movie is the epitome of every other director and writer trying to emulate
Yeah,
a
and
Quentin
on that
Tarantino movie, and
point,
this one does it so badly.
this Letterbox reviewer named Rob,
Rob,
profile picture of the Watchman smiley face with the blood on it. He also gave this 1.5 stars. Reviewed it December 14th, 2019. He wrote, I'm just going to read the first 2 paragraphs because that's all that's the best part. It says, quote, it's impossible today to properly explain the effect that Pulp Fiction had on movie aficionados in 94 and 95. For those of us who grew up with suburban theater megaplexes and mainstream video stores, we never seen anything like it. And given those self-same handicaps, we had no way to remediate our inability to see what inspired Tarantino. But we trusted him. So when he popped up in this movie a year later, we trusted that he was telling us something. What we didn't know was he was telling us that he liked money. I saw this in the theater, and all I remember about it is that it sucked. And he could have just ended the review right there, and it would have just perfectly summed it up. Because again, these are all shallow characters. I mean, I kind of found the James LaGrosse character somewhat appealing because again, he's like hanging out as like the super at this motel, and he doesn't seem to be bummed at all that the money got stolen. He's just like, okay, whatever. And the fact
I thought he was the most engaging character in the movie.
He was much more interesting than the Dylan McDermott character who shows up looking for his ex-girlfriend who's trying to land a gig. And the David Cross character is kind of like her agent or whatever, or whoever, and he's trying to help her out, and she's just totally jaded at the meeting and not interested. Where you meet this kind of slobby kind of weirdo that he's like, oh, you got to perform tonight, and blah, blah, blah. And so I really didn't care about whether Dylan McDermott's character got back together with her or not. And she even
Dermot Mulroney.
No, it's McDermott.
Oh, okay.
It's Mulroney's the other guy. So it just there's nothing to him. I don't care if he gets together with the girl or not. Jim Belushi trying to they have the running joke where he's always grabbing his crotch throughout the movie, and it's like with bad dialogue there too. Why? What does it matter why I do this? I do this just because I'm like what? And when the Tracy Walter character showed up, my eyes lit up because usually he brings a ray of sunshine to movies, and he usually plays those type of living on the edge and fringy type of people you'd probably move to the other side of the sidewalk if you passed them on the street, but they're appealing characters, and here he's no exception. Like when Dylan introduces his ex-girlfriend, he's like, hey, we just got married, and he's like, oh really? And he just grabs her and swoons her over and gives her a kiss, and she's like totally like fine with it. And it's just, and he wanted to come see his son for whatever reason. It's not really explained. That for some reason Bobcat Goldthwait plays like an undercover cop or whatever who comes looking for them, and they think it's a good idea to just, instead of just sending him away or tricking him by lying and saying, oh yeah, he went blah 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 down the road, they decide to tie him to a bed in a motel and they gag him with a ball gag, and it's like what?
With an apple.
Yeah, and the pool has these weird powers where if you jump into it, you can get sucked under into wherever we're going. Like Johnny invites invites Dylan and his girlfriend to come with, or now wife, I suppose, to escape from the police with them at the end of the movie. And it's like, okay, where? And they eventually do, I guess. At first, it didn't seem like they were going to, but when they do, they become like stars in the sky, these twinkling stars. And I thought it was also funny that when the Goldthwait character was checking in the motel, he's like, "Yeah, I got a room for you. It's the Some Like It Hot room." And I'm like, okay, they're named after certain movies. It doesn't tell you which way to go when you go out the motel door to go find it, you know. But so it's just, yeah, the dialogue is bad. The plot was incoherent. At first, I didn't realize the Tarantino character was supernatural. So when he randomly disappears when he gets to the motel, I'm like, wait, he was literally in the shot talking to, what was her, the housekeeper or the motel clerk or something. And then the shot changes and like he's literally gone. And the housekeeper just gone. And I'm like, wait, what? And I didn't realize that was supposed to mean something until later when you had that crazy ass sequence where they're sitting out by the pool and it just starts glowing bright red and electricity starts chiming and he rises out of the pool naked for some reason. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? But yes, because somebody as sharp-witted as Tarantino, who by this point had not only made Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, he'd also written the script for True Romance and Natural Born Killers. And he starred in this, and it's like, yeah, he could clearly see this is a Pulp Fiction ripoff, but obviously the dialogue, everything's so horrible, and I wouldn't have thought he would have done something like this because he's always so kind of, you know, snooty, high-mighty about film, like he's been going on lately about one of the reasons he wanted to stop making movies was when they stopped projecting on 35 millimeter. Oh, I can't bother doing that anymore, you know, like anybody's gonna tell the difference, you know. I mean, unless it's shot in 65, projected in 70. Most people are not going to, like 99.99% of people aren't going to tell. So I'm kind of surprised that somebody who has that type of attitude about film and all this kind of stuff would, because it would, you know, agree to star in this movie after reading the script, unless there was a completely different script that got butchered because I could find no information on the production of this film.
Okay, yeah. And if I remember correctly, I listened to an interview with Quentin Tarantino and he was talking about acting in films. And at the time he had a girlfriend and this is essentially not this movie, but with others. Quentin Tarantino was like, I'm not going to a production shoot for 3 months to go and hang out unless it's something that I want to do. And so that's why he stopped acting, just because without the control or vision behind a production, he wouldn't do it. And so I admire him for having this period in his career to learn that he didn't want this to be his career. Charismatic actor, though.
That's interesting because if he didn't, because on the one hand, I can see a lot of people will sign up to do bad movies either because they need the work or because they figure, hey, I'll have fun doing it, even if it's crap. But obviously, he didn't need the work because he already had the money and the success. But he also doesn't like just hanging around on stuff either, which makes you wonder why he did it at all. So that's a bit interesting because I've never, until you brought it up, I had never heard of this movie before. I've certainly never heard him talk about it before. So it's completely new. It's funny because I mean, I'm looking at the picture right now on our logo on the smart TV, and you know he's prominently displayed in the center on the poster, and you know he is Destiny, Johnny Destiny, and I figured it was going to be about him mostly, and I thought, oh, okay, this made more sense to me to watch for the filmography than say Little Nicky, where he only has like 4 quick bit little scenes that total no more than maybe 2 minutes, but here I figured, oh, okay, he's going to be a main character, and it's like, oh, he's not. And I was kind of, I mean, he sort of is in terms of the effect that he has on the characters, and like how he randomly, I admit, when he kind of coolly walks out onto the middle of the street during the car chase, and they just have to swerve to avoid him. But then you have other weird things, like he's sitting getting his shoes shined. Dylan's trying to follow him. He sits next to him as if he's being inconspicuous, which obviously he knows it's you. And rather than saying anything, he sits there and waits after Johnny has walked away and lets the kid shine his shoes. I'm like, and then he kind of stops following him, and he never asks like, "What's up?" You know, it's just I couldn't really. But then you see weirdo other supernatural things, like when he stops the girl and Nancy at the slot machine or the vending machine where she gets the cigarettes, He's like, I don't think you should be smoking in your condition because she's pregnant, and that's another crazy plot twist is that she's
Yeah.
pregnant. Apparently, she believes that Dylan's the father, even though he was in jail at the time, and she says no, it was through a dream, and he
She
thinks she's
dreamed
insane.
it?
But after listening to her tell the story of the dream, and you see a little flashback, he suddenly cools off on it and seems to warm up to the idea. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, it's just
It is incoherent, but it is, well, it's incoherent. Like I don't even know if I have an apology to go along with it in terms of its story representation. Like you there Dylan McDermott looks in a mirror at one point and he sees Tracy Walter, who is his father, in a mirror as if it's some sort of like ominous interpretation of something to come. And it's not. It's just that's the introduction of the father. And so when what's his name? Gabriel, what's his name?
uh,
Dylan McDermott, his name?
I can't remember what his character name is. I should probably look
Julian.
it up. Julian, that's right. And every time they said Julian, I kept thinking of the character from Trailer Park Boys.
See, I kept thinking Julian Bashir from Deep Space Nine.
I kept thinking about that, and every time I saw James LaGrosse on screen, I just kept thinking of, you know, he's the guy from Point Break, and he's the guy who played George Bauer in Zodiac, and I'm like, hey, that's that guy, and it's like, it's funny because he has a lot of screen time in the movie, but he's kind of passive. He doesn't really have much effect on what's going on. He's just kind of hanging out at the motel for the most part, and he seems to have a better relationship with Julian's father than Julian does in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more father-son-like than Julian and his dad
Pappy.
are. Yeah, Pappy. Yeah, they get along so much better. It's like, hey, I know you've been over here with my son and that kind of stuff. And when they both see Julian ride up on the motorcycle and crash it outside the motel, they look at him just like judging him, you know, because it's like, oh, you know, up to your old.
That's a weird scene too, because he shows up on the motorbike and he's obviously stolen it. It's like a little putt, and then he slides it out, and then he kicks it to the point that it becomes engulfed in flame.
Yeah, that could just be, you know, the cheapy Hollywood '90s thing, or by a rule, any car that gets in a minor car accident that doesn't involve main characters has to explode into a burst of flames. I guess with the exception of the two cop cars which crashed in the neighborhood, which they were surprisingly restrained by having it be a realistic looking crash. But it, like, sometimes you just have things explode that make no sense. Like, I remember the other day I was rewatching Majesties, and when the Irma Bunt's car flips upside down during the ice rink scene, they start skirting out.
Hang on a second. For the cheap sheeps, Kat is talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Please go on.
Yeah, and then they're scrambling to get out of the car, which is overturned, and it randomly blows up. Or when I saw Living Daylights in IMAX the other week, and you had a massive explosion of the villain's Jeep as he's crashing into like a plane at the Afghan runway, and it's like there's no way any would survive that. That would be like an explosion that kills movie characters in this type of scenario, and 99.99% of them, but he miraculously survived because you want to keep him around. Or in Dr. No, when the three blind mice are careening down the hill, and on one particular bounce it just randomly explodes. So I'm going to chalk that type of logic up to being this is why the motorbike exploded when he kicked it, which, you know, doesn't track. But some people are dumb enough to think that it is. I remember watching one of those crime shows, and some lady, I guess, had set fire to, or she lit a towel on fire and danked it in somebody's gas tank because she thought it would blow up, like in the movie No Country for Old Men when Sugar does that, because they found the tape sitting in her house and she apparently thought that would actually work to kill whoever it was she was trying to kill. I'm like, oh my god, some people are just they're just dumb. And so I felt that type of stupidity is what permeates most of the characters in the film, because I couldn't. It's like, okay, so the guy's upset about the money. He has plenty of opportunities to ask Johnny Destiny where it is or what he did with it, and he's getting all hopping mad about it. And like I said, when he follows him, he doesn't really bother trying to question him about it. But we got the two random cops who, for some reason, they know about him. They didn't seem to know about James LaGrosse's character and that he was in on the heist as well. So, and because they don't spend any time on the characters of these people or characterizing them, I didn't really care if they got away or not. and it's like the dialogue is really cheesy and bad, and so I didn't really care about
Oh,
it.
the
Just
dialogue is the worst.
yeah, it just. I admit the movie was passing the first. It wasn't paced slowly per se. It just
No.
no, it wasn't that slow paced. And yeah, it has a little colorful kind of characters. They just don't really do anything interesting with them. And
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Like the movie itself. So what do we got? We got a guy
I
who
would have.
breaks out of jail and he
Yeah,
ends up in the desert. Destiny picks him up, takes him back to the Maryland hotel. He wants to go meet Nancy Travis. By the way, Nancy Travis, thumbs up. Um, and then Nancy Travis is involved with Jim Belushi's what's his name?
his character.
Treo.
Wait, what? His character's name?
Yes.
I don't know. I should probably look that up as well. See, this is how forgettable this movie is. Uh,
Anyway, she's with him. Julian meets up with Nancy Travis, who is Lucille, and then he wants his money back, but Johnny Destiny, who is played by Quentin Tarantino, took it. But if we fix the Maryland motel, then Johnny will come back with the money, and that's a thing. And then the rest of the movie happens. Oh no, and David Cross is an agent with a guy
yeah,
who is
the guy,
going to.
the guy she needs to impress is named Vinny Vidivici, of
Yes.
course, played by
Eh,
Alan Garfield. And I actually would have rather spent more time following the David Cross character because you can tell he's trying to work hard at his job, and she just doesn't really seem to care. And he's doing
I
you know,
was
the typical nerdy kind of David Cross thing, which I like, but again, the focus isn't really on him. And so there's that going on. And I just looked a second ago, but I have to look again to remember the James the Cross character's name. There was one joke with the name Lucille. I can't remember what it was, but it was probably forgettable. Harry Thoreau, that's right.
yes.
And then Janet Carroll as Escabel. Gonna be honest, I don't remember what role that character played in the movie, but she would have been 55, and she played the one, two. She's like the fifth person listed, so she's probably important.
Is that the lady who Destiny meets first of all, and says,
Probably.
"Repeat after me. Luck changes."
Yeah. Uh, yeah, just like you said, it's a Tarantino ripoff or a Tarantino wannabe, Pulp Fiction wannabe. Not even in terms of editing, because it's not like it rearranges the timeline or the chronology at all. It
Hmm.
doesn't have the sharp dialogue or whatever. It's just basically, oh, we're gonna drop in a bunch of characters into this scenario without explanation, sort of like they do in Pulp Fiction, where you just kind of follow the dialogue carries you through it and gets you to know those characters. You like it. Whereas here, it's just like, it's like they had a premise and they had a basic outline, and they decided to film the outline without taking the time to write anything for character or sensible plot points or anything. Oh, here's an idea. Let's get, and we had the money somehow because somebody agreed to finance this. And well, an HBO film, so I guess it was sort of a reflection of the policy that
Oh,
David Zaslav.
and the Sundance.
Yeah, that's another thing. And so they probably got caught up in the whole Pulp Fiction thing that everybody fell in love with, and oh, here's something like it that Tarantino himself is attached to appear in as the title character. So, ooh, it attracts money, and that maybe I just answered my own question. There it goes. That's how the movie probably got made. But it did get a. Did it get a theatrical release? It might have.
It does not have a Blu-ray or a DVD release, though.
No, but it does have a VHS and a Laserdisc. Our friend.
Well, I have a VHS and a Laserdisc, Cat.
But do you have one of this movie?
No.
Our friend Tom, friend of the channel, does.
Really?
He does. He had seen it a long time ago. He was telling me about it last night. And I was like, yeah. And he was laughing about how I was just excoriating this film last night in the chat. Let's see if I could find any memorable quotes that I wrote. That would be.
Oh, wow.
I,
You know what? I'm more interested to finding out my friends' reviews of this movie than talking about this movie.
Your friends. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's right. Okay. So I wrote that I said I'm watching the movie for the show. I'm 11 minutes into it, and I already want Scott to refund me the $3.99 for the rental.
No, that's not happening.
And then
But
Tom says I used to have that on VHS, and I wrote, LOL. What are the odds? ... That Rob has it. And Tom's like, I can ask him. I'm like, no, I'm just joking. And then I posted a picture.
You know what? I was half expecting Rob to show up and say, "Don't you say a damn bad word about this movie."
And then I posted a screenshot featuring the blue palm tree, and I see that's a blue palm tree for some reason. And then I posted a screenshot of Tarantino, Johnny Destiny emerging from the pool, the electricity on him, and I wrote, what ... in ... the ... actual ... fuck. It was just... And then Tom felt the need to tell me he's a supernatural character. I'm like, no shit, he's a supernatural character.
Well, he's the manifestation of destiny.
Yeah, and then I started Googling factoids about the movie. And I said, and despite being made by HBO Films, which I didn't know until the opening credits, according to Letterboxd, it's not on HBO Max. I hope that it isn't on Max and that wasn't an oversight on Letterboxd's part, or I'll hate myself for renting this. Yeah, that's what I wrote about the film there.
Oh my! Do we still have to talk about this movie?
I don't know. It's just, it's difficult to find much to talk because I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna. What do you know? Somebody, it was Jill, posted like a dynamite reaction to my little Joker gif, and here we go for the start of the show.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, when the dialogue's that forgetful, there's nothing really memorable about the movie. The plot in the beginning and such is a bit incoherent. There's no reason to care about any of the characters. It's just, like I said, it's a very rough outline that they
for a movie called Destiny Turns on the Radio, the soundtrack is lacking.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember if that was a title. Was that a reference to something in the beginning of the movie?
No.
Yeah, I don't. I thought, wait a minute, did he turn on the radio and hear something, and that's why he wanted to go to Vegas? I don't remember.
No.
It's just It's just That's
just the name of the movie. They don't have anything else going on really.
Yeah, because I can't remember if he did turn on the radio at some point. And then you have other weird moments when.
Although I did appreciate the romantic, and it's not played by the original artist, but there is just my imagination. There is, and that's the romantic theme between Julian and Lucille.
And then there's the funny bit where Harry Thoreau just kind of shocked at what happens, like, oh, I'll take care of it. I'll have a gun next time or something. And then when Johnny Destiny does walk into the Reed's shop at the motel and sees him there, he tries to whip out his gun and he can't find it. And Destiny's like, looking for this, and whips out the gun. And I'm like,
well, what do you think of what did you think of Tarantino's performance?
It was fine.
I thought he was good.
Yeah, for what it is, which ain't much, but
it was better than Dermot Mulrooney's.
Dylan McDermott, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he was better than him. He's better than Nancy Travis, better than Jim Belushi. Mostly because those characters don't have anything really to them. Otherwise, maybe I would care more.
Oh, what about the cops? Remember the cops? One of them was one of the Koopas from Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, let me double check his name. I always forget how to pronounce it. His name is Barry Shabaka Henley.
Is that his name?
Yeah, you're talking
Jerry about Chewbacca Henley?
No, Shabaka.
Oh, Chewbacca?
Shabaka, Shabaka.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, no, Shabaka.
Okay. I'm not going to say it again because I've already decided how to pronounce it.
The name is taken from a pharaoh from Egypt's 25th dynasty. It ruled from 721 to 707 BC. Interesting. And I recognize the other guy who plays his partner, but Richard Edson. I don't know what else I've seen.
I recognize him as well, and I don't want to sort of diminish his performance because it was,
Okay, he's been in a few films I've seen.
I remember him from stuff.
Yeah, he's the garage attendant in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's Richie and Howard the Duck, Sal in Platoon, Private Abersold in Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah, that's where I remember him from.
Good
Morning Vietnam.
Vito and Do the Right Thing. That's probably where I most know him from. You're right. He's Spike in Super Mario Brothers. Oh wait, that's the guy you're referring to. Then never mind.
Yeah, no, but I thought his partner because I recognized his partner.
Yeah, I recognize both of them because I've seen. Yeah, so
Yeah,
this here is the guy from the Super Mario Brothers.
Now you are a sort of subject, or not? I wouldn't say subject. You are a student of cinematography and editing. How amateur is this on a scale from 1 to 10?
Amateur. It's amateur. It's like
This is one of those times when I'm watching a movie and I notice the directing and editing, and that's not a thing you're supposed to do.
yeah, it's like a 1 or a 2. It's particularly in the beginning with the shot choices with what they're doing with Johnny Destiny and the way they're going along. It's like this was very amateurish. I'm guessing that because it was a HBO Films produced thing that they might have used a TV crew, which could sometimes work if you're under the direction of somebody like Alfred Hitchcock, which he did for Psycho, which upset a lot of the film business because they're like, why are you using a TV crew for a movie? And he's like, because I want it to feel like one of my episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And of course, it turns out to be one of his most iconic films. Here, it just seems like a really cheap modern TV budget that's given. I mean, nicer cameras to the image quality is what you would expect of a 90s theatrically released movie. But
yeah,
because it has that filmic quality to it, but it's not, it's not like cheap video, so to speak. But it's just everything else is just kind of just.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how else I could say it. Oh, I mean, again, Tracy Walter is a national treasure.
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the best thing I could say about the film is him.
But still, and you're only giving it like a 1.5?
I just kind of wasn't into it.
But the weird thing about it is that watching it, it reminded me of Tarantino movies, and I was like, I see what you're doing. It was like watching 2 Days in the Valley, although 2 Days in the Valley is way better. Also, if I can take a sidestep, if I can see everyone over on camera 2, we had a choice, ladies and gentlemen, and it was going to be Destiny Turns on the Radio, or it was going to be Little Nicky. And Kat said to me, I am not watching Little Nicky again.
That is not.
And I was like, no, let me tell my story. Let me tell my story. And then you tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay.
So, and I was like, fine.
Because you're an hour late, I'm just going to start eating dinner and I'm not even going to try to hide it this time.
You do whatever you have to do, okay? This doesn't make any sense. There's no reason that we should be talking about Destiny Turns on the Radio. It doesn't matter. So Kat says, I'm not going to watch Little Nicky. And I was like, okay, then we'll watch Destiny Turns on the Radio because it's a movie box that I remember when I worked at a video store in the 90s and I want to see it. And so this is the decision that we came to. And so we had to watch this. Kat recently rewatched Little Nicky. Now, in a decision between Little Nicky and Destiny Turns on the Radio, which film do you like better?
Little Nicky.
Little Nicky, you say. So we have subjected our audience to this. Destiny Turns on the Radio.
This is a false premise
because you chose poorly.
Bullshit. You were committed to Destiny Turns on the Radio, and you asked if we should add Little Nicky to it later on. I said, why? And I asked you, what is Destiny Turns on the Radio? And the fact that it wasn't streaming anywhere, it didn't have a Blu-ray or DVD release, gave me a bunch of red flags. I said, did he write it? And he said, no, he didn't write it. He stars in it. And when
anyway,
first, because of the poster, I thought it was. I thought Dylan McDermott was going to be the title character. But when I found out, it's Tarantino, I thought, well, maybe he's more in it than he would be in Little Nicky because he's only in 4 scenes as the pastor or whatever. But you seemed pretty enthusiastic about Destiny Turns on the Radio because you were so curious as to what it was. You're like, I got to see it because he told me I've
never seen it. Yeah.
At the video store all those years ago. So that's why we watched it, and we're gonna watch. And it was whether or not we would add Little Nicky, and I said no because that belongs probably more in an Adam Sandler retrospective. Not that we would do every single individual Adam Sandler movie, but we could do like a a special. This is something that Scott and I are talking. Tell us in the comments. Do you think we should do little specials like for a couple hours we bullshit about an actor's filmography or director's filmography that we don't feel the need to go through each movie like we are with Tarantino?
So are we gonna do like a Adam Sandler filmography retrospective?
I mean, if you want, that's just a suggestion.
Well, it's a good idea. But that's after we do the true crime show.
We can do that concurrently because the thing about true crime, that can go on forever. There's so many cases to cover.
We could do a 24-hour stream about your knowledge of true crime, from what I understand.
Good.
Anyway, but what movies did this remind you of?
Other forgetful Tarantino ripoffs from the night. Because I remember when I
Like, it
first
kind
heard
of.
of I can't remember when I first heard of Pulp Fiction. The first time I took an interest in it was probably fall 2003, freshman year of high school, because there were some sophomores in the class for media arts class for make movies and stuff, and the teacher would mostly spend the class editing wedding videos, which is a side business he had, and he let us kind of have a free for all or do whatever as long as we finished projects. And so we were talking to the some of the other older kids, and they were talking about the movies, and in sophomore year especially, two of the now juniors who were in my freshman class as sophomores were now the teacher's assistants in the advanced version of this class, which wasn't very advanced. It was basically the same thing again. And so we would just sit there all day and basically bullshit. And he was talking about Tarantino and stuff like that, and telling me about how an impact this movie had and blah blah blah. And I'd read Rebel Without a Crew in 1999. That was Robert Rodriguez's book about how he self-financed El Mariachi, which some useful tips in there today, but is obviously breaking into the direct-to-video market is a very different thing back then than it is today. But it was kind of neat. You learned how he raised money by signing up for some type of nutritionist lab experiment or something where you stay at this facility and go on whatever diet or pills or whatever they have you take, and you get paid money. And he met a guy there who he befriended and hired him to play the villain in El Mariachi. And it was a great book. It's still fun to read today. And that's how I really first found out about Rodriguez, and then through that From Dusk Till Dawn, and through that Tarantino, and then through the class in freshman and sophomore year learning about him more. And so in fall 2004 is when I purchased the 10th anniversary special edition DVD of Pulp Fiction with the slipcover, and it was a 2-disc set. I can't remember any of the bonus features that were on it. I have it around here somewhere, but I've lost the slipcover. My sister lost the slipcover when she borrowed it many years ago. And at first when I saw Pulp Fiction, I wasn't as on board with it because I wasn't crazy about the watch story initially. I didn't much care about the whole Jackrabbit Slims or whatever it was called. I just kind of was like, okay, because I'd seen by then a bunch of TV shows which have spoofed that, or shows preceding Pulp Fiction which spoofed that basic premise where guy's got to take out a girl, he's got to be really careful about it, and bad stuff happens. So obviously my thoughts of Pulp Fiction have changed a lot from what we saw today. So watching this movie reminds me of those type of, like you said, the rip-off movies that I learned about back then and seen, and the type of crap that would be rerun on bad TV stations middle of the afternoon on Saturdays in the 90s, and just crap movies. It's just, I can't say it, it's understandably a movie that is not going to get replayed on TV, though I admit its incoherence brings a little bit of charm to it, especially since you have Tarantino in it in a somewhat expanded role, which is admittedly unique.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah, well, but it's also my stars, sitcom acting. Like even with Bobcat Goldthwait, sitcom acting. It's so ridiculous. Like even there was a moment where Bobcat Goldthwait has his walkie-talkie, and I'm like, you were better in Police Academy 3. It was so interesting. But so what are some of the Tarantino rip-off movies that you can list off the top of your head? Because I was remembering about people saying, oh no, it didn't, and I'm one of them, it inspired a generation of filmmakers. And I was trying to think, like, okay, so we have 2 Days in the Valley, The Big Hit, this.
I can't
what
name
else?
off the top of my head because they're all forgettable.
They're all forgettable. And that's something that I said to our groups of friends And it was like, I have to see this movie again now because this is ridiculously forgettable.
I thought
Okay,
about
it
that.
says it's a 3. It's a 3.
I thought about that because you were right. It was forgettable, and I'm like, do I want to watch this movie again, or do I want to stay outside and keep reading my book? And I'm like, it's nice outside. I'm going to keep reading, and I know Scott is the one who's super enthusiastic about it, so I'll let him take the lead instead.
Yeah, well, and here we are.
Yeah, I still have the 40. It's a 48-hour rental, so I still have it. So I might just put it on again for the hell of it.
Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna fall asleep to it just because I'm fascinated by it. It is a collection of scenes that are trying to be cool, and but that's the thing. The weird thing
And see,
is
the
the
director, you can't even click on his name on Wikipedia. He doesn't even have his own page. That's how forgetful this is.
it's so strange because it's oh my god. Anyway, so once again, if you are watching, like, if you're watching this review of Destiny Turns on the Radio, I would like to remind you that we are brought to you by Free Enterprise, the film by Robert Byer Burnett. Please watch this instead.
Far superior film.
Far superior film. Oh, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've wasted everybody's time.
And I think that film uses William Shatner better than this film uses Quentin Tarantino.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
And I bring it up because they're both kind of low budget, low budget fare, and so, yeah. And a similar premise. Like on the one hand, Star Trek, the Free Enterprise is literally about fans and the whole Trekkies and stuff like that, whereas this movie is figuratively about it because it's all trying to be an ode to Tarantino and Pulp Fiction reactionary type film.
But isn't that the weirdest thing about this movie is that Tarantino is in it?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was fascinated by why would you agree to do. I mean, like they said, maybe it was
money.
Yeah, maybe it was the money, but I can't imagine this project had any money behind it. It made $1.176 million at the box office, so
I don't even know what the production budget was.
I don't either. But unless they paid some front fee, which I have a hard time believing.
But you know what?
Like,
when it
sounds
comes,
like this is HBO. It sounds like that this TV station was willing to pay to put Quentin Tarantino in the movie to give it clout and to advertise it on their TV station to get ratings, and that's probably all it is.
Oh, come on. See, I think you're overestimating Quentin Tarantino because you got Jim Belushi in there. Nancy Travis is a smoke show. We got Dylan McDermott. And
to be honest, I'd never heard of Nancy Travis before this movie.
Oh, no, she's great. What was she in? She was in a Michael J. Fox movie, Greed. It's great. No, I love Nancy Travis. Nancy Travis replaced Terry Farrell on the Ted Danson sitcom Becker.
That is a name. That TV
It is
show
a name. It's a whole bunch of reasons of you've never seen. Yeah.
No, it's a name I've not heard in a long time, but I've heard it.
Who?
Becker.
Nancy Travis or Becker?
Becker.
Well, Terry Farrell, if everything doesn't work out with that Adam Nimoy, call me.
Oh, and another thing. In the climax, when the cops get her to go on stage to sing her bit, because they're expecting Johnny to show up, is it just me, or did that bit go on forever? It just seemed like when she's singing the song, it's like any type of sense of pace and whimsy the film had at that point. Because I admit, I couldn't follow the plot anymore. I was like, okay, I'll be mildly invested in this. It's like, it just felt like the movie just stopped dead when she started singing because it just went on, or it just felt that way.
It did drag. There was no real momentum to the sort of her auditioning sequences.
Yeah, and I can't figure out how exactly, was there like a window in the back of her dressing room? Is that how Johnny, because the guy was guarding the door, nobody came out, and then that other girl they harassed earlier was sitting there pretending to be her. I can't remember how she got out. Only that Johnny somehow snuck in and they took off.
I don't
know.
I
thought that was also really abrupt how, she gets kidnapped when he's using the phone booth. And I'm like, you're gonna do this not exactly in broad daylight, but if, on a strip at night with a bunch of cars driving out. This is your method for trying to catch him. You're just gonna kidnap this lady, and like, how many crimes
Yeah,
are you committing today to do this?
but
you know?
no, this movie kind of felt a little bit like Grand Theft Auto. You could do whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted to. It was very strange. But yeah, no, they just, with that point where they kidnapped Nancy Travis, I was just like, really? Okay. But I had given up on logic a
Yeah,
long time ago.
like the joke that's not even meant to be a joke, where you see that Harry Thoreau has filled the pool with this little hose, like this giant motel pool, and he's filled the whole thing as high as what you'd expect it to be with just this little hose that's just. I'm
All
like, okay. Uh,
right. So are we going to talk about the interdimensional portal?
yeah, like I said, I have no idea where that goes or what that's about, but it turned them into stars, apparently.
Well, and where did the baby go? If there's only two of them, shouldn't there be a third star?
Unless she was high, and maybe she wasn't pregnant at all.
Well, that removes a lot of my emotional connection to the film.
Like you have
She
any
was
emotional connection to the film, Scott.
No, but like I love bad 90s movies. I am a big fan of them. This is definitely one of them.
I suspect this movie is going to be the textbook definition of the logo we have in the corner of our show. Need more blood.
Need more blood. Oh no. This is you know what? If you'd like to support this show, please. That's what Destiny turns on the radio is every time you hear someone ask you to super chat. Every time you ask someone to support the channel financially, it is Destiny turns on the radio. This movie is perfect in a representation of we don't know what we're doing, but we want money.
Yeah, HBO saw an opportunity to get ratings by. Oh well, maybe it probably started with Tarantino. Hey, we can get him on here, and that'll help attract other. I bet that's what happened. The other name actors in this movie were attracted to the project not because they were won over by the script, but because they got Tarantino attached, and because of the whole Pulp Fiction imitation. Ooh, that'll give us something, and that's probably how they got James LaGrosse and Jim Belushi and Dylan McDermott and Nancy Travis
And Tracy Walter.
and Tracy Walter. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that, you know what? The only thing that I will give this movie 10 out of 10 for is when when Tracy Walter showed up, that threw me into the back of my couch. And I was like, really? And then when he became an actual character, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Like that was number one with a bullet. When David Cross showed up, I was like, okay. Like everyone in this movie is giving their all for a low budget piece of shit. And I liked it. It's going back up to a 4. It's going back up to a 4.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, I should think about this because on a 5-star scale, I gave it 1.5. So I guess that's 2 and
4?
no,
No, that's 3. It's
that's
3.
3. That's 3. I guess I'll give it 3 out of 3 bullets then. I didn't think
Okay.
about that because I remember because I was rating it on Letterboxd. I'm like, yeah, 1.5 out of 5. But yeah, this is probably 3 out of 10.
All right.
Because like I said, it's got Tracy Walter and Jim Belushi, and doesn't give a bad performance. The actors, the thing, a couple of them are pretty bad, but not. It's just nothing else I can really say about it. It is what it is.
But it is exactly the representation of all of the rip-offs of Tarantino movies throughout the 90s.
Yeah.
And for that, as a bad cover song, well, yeah, 4. Anyway, do you want to talk about this anymore, or can we go to the chat?
Go to the chat, man. I'm literally eating steak right now. That's how distant.
I'm so. Hang on. I must cough.
Some people have it tough.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous, Kat. I cannot believe that you're just like, no, fuck this movie. Let's just get out of here. I agree with you, though. I am on your side. I do think that this is something to behold. But if you have an option between seeing Destiny Turns on the radio or seeing Free Enterprise, see Free Enterprise. This one's better. Has nothing to do with Tarantino. But anyway, so let's go. Sly Snide. Kat, this is you.
You could probably skip the first 40 chats or however many it is.
No, I'm really enjoying it. What did you say?
I said, "Where are you, Scott? It's 4 minutes past showtime."
Tom is correct. Says it's just like Scott. I didn't delete ahoy. Anyway, you're right. I could probably skip through a lot of
But
this.
because the thing is that when I first opened it, it said ahoy. You wrote that at the top. Jill responded, and then when I came back to the live chat and looked before, her comment was still there. Yours was gone, and there weren't enough chats to have knocked it off. So I don't know what happened to it. I just assumed that you deleted it or something. Not even though I couldn't.
No, I appreciate it. For anybody not watching this live, and if you're watching this on the repeat or on the restream, everyone thought I was dead for about an hour. So that's great. Phil says, "What's going on?" Jill responds appropriately. Hey, anti-derivative Jill. The only physical media is for this film is VHS and Laserdisc. Yeah.
The sales were if they didn't feel the need to port it over to DVD, considering that virtually everything was given DVD release when DVD first hit the market.
Well, and it's one of those things that I'm appreciative of that I can actually rent it. Like I rented mine on YouTube for $4.99, and by the way, I will refund. And no, wait, hang on a second. I can't make declarative statements like this. I will not refund you watching this movie. I apologize that you spent your time. Please send all complaints to Robert Meyer Burnett at the Post Geek Singularity,
No.
And yeah, he'll give you one of these.
I do need one of those, though.
Don't you, though?
Yeah, never seen it.
Really? Well, it's on Amazon Prime.
I don't have Prime.
You know what? We should probably see if we can wrangle Rob into talking about Free Enterprise. He's under the impression that no one likes that movie, but come on. If we've reviewed Destiny Turns on the radio.
Yeah. It's much better. The clips I've seen from his movie are much better than Destiny Turns on the radio.
Well, also, anti-derivative Jill says Little Nicky is way better than this. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely way better than this. Even though that's got its own problems, but it's much better than this.
Phil says, we must send super chats to help reimburse Scotty for paying to watch this. No. You should send each other super chats to reimburse me making you watch it. And again, like this, I am so sorry, Kat. I was curious about this movie so long ago, and then when I finally got into it, it's just like, this is not worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how meta this is. Like you said, all the other things you wanted to do to get ready for the show, and it's like, nah, we're just gonna chill out, smoke, drink PBR, have my dinner, and we're just gonna bullshit this movie.
Anyway, I hope everyone else is having fun.
I feel like I should be having a steak with a more profound film than this, but.
Jill says Julian's acting. You mean Dermot Mulrooney?
Dylan McDermott.
Fuck me. I can never get that right. Anyway, so Julian's acting when he learns about Tuerto with Lucille was the worst. Was his worst in the movie, though it's all bad. True. And it's funny because Dylan McDermott is actually a good actor. I like him. But
he's talking about.
He says this is truly offensive, but doesn't seem offended, and yeah.
That's right.
Starts breaking things. No, it's tantrums and violence seem to be the order of
Well,
the
yeah, it's like when
situation.
Harry Thoreau screams at the top of his lungs, "I do not support this decision." It's like he would be shouting expletives probably at him more believably rather than saying that. Like you said, you say things like that, but it works with your personality, not with Harry's.
Thank you. I appreciate that acknowledgement. Um, I am happy that I was not sober watching it. Well, you know what? Don't do drugs, Jill. And also, you know what? I agree. I agree. Jill goes on. The music is almost as bad as the movie itself. I was surprised how bad the music was in a movie called Destiny Turns on the Radio.
I'm going to be honest and say, apart from the songs she sings, which were just "Stop the Movie Dead" and whatnot, I don't remember any of the music from this movie because that was also very forgettable.
But again, there is that cover of Just My Imagination,
Again,
which
I haven't heard of that one, so other than it being in the movie. That might not have been half bad. That was in the credits, right?
no, it was in the movie twice. I don't know if it was in the credits or
Okay,
not.
never mind.
Maybe. Anyway. And Tom with a little bit of National Enquirer. I think Tarantino was dating Margaret Cho at when he made this. Well, good for him.
I don't know.
Cinema Gulp, our good friend at Cinema Gulp. You know what? I was talking to Ben from Cinema Gulp, and now he is just this podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Cinema Gulp. His link is in the description
Yes.
forevermore.
Yeah.
So last week when we were discussing the Hateful Eight, Ben was like, "Do you ever link the people that you're talking to in your descriptions?" And now I feel bad about it. And so Ben is going to be in every description for every Phantasmagorium ever.
Yeah, another friend of the channel, Tim Possible, he does that on his videos for his guests. He always put the links for their channels in the descriptions. That's on the Tim's Talk channel. Check that out. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, we should definitely shout out Tim's talk. And, well, Anti-Derivative Jill does it all the time, too. She's very conscientious. And I was just surprised. And so, as penance,
Yeah.
I'm just going to, yeah. So, Ben gets to be. Anyway. Julian Lucille. I don't want to talk about the movie, guys. You guys are talking about me
Okay,
in
if it's
the
a movie
chat.
related, you got to put it up on the screen. We got to do that.
All right.
We owe it to him.
Jill says when Julian stares at Lucille when she is singing her song with corny lyrics, he looks more like a serial killer than someone in love. Agreed.
I'm gonna admit, I because that scene stopped the movie dead. I started spacing out at that point until the song ended, so I can't remember what he looked like. But yes, I agree. You're probably right about that.
Have you ever seen the movie Tiptoes?
I've heard about it.
You never seen it?
I might have. Remind me.
Well, it's the one where Commissioner Gordon from the Dark Knight trilogy is a midget.
Okay, I read about it. I've not seen it, and I heard
Gary Oldman.
So I heard that movie had two cuts, and the one release got butchered or something like that, and why it's so bad.
It's a very strange movie, and I apologize for using the phrase midget. Or I think dwarf is appropriate. But yeah, this movie reminded me of that. Like just in terms of bad, swept under the rug. Anyway, I don't know why I brought it up.
Yeah, somebody brought it up in one of the chats, in one of our messenger chats. I think somebody mentioned Tiptoes. I can't remember which one it was, and I'm like, why do I know that name? And now you remind me. I'm like, yeah, and I can't even remember what led me to read about that. I kind of remember who else. I can't remember the main guy. There was Gary Oldman and somebody else, and I was just reading that it got butchered in post for some reason, and that the longer cut was supposedly a lot better. I don't know. We're not going to get into it's not like a lost cut type of thing.
if you can share this review, if you want to call it a review, and you want us to talk about Tiptoes, hit the like button, share this, and comment below if you want to. If you want to hear us talk about Tiptoes, I will make you all watch bad movies until the end of time. We haven't even done a Room review. And I'm not talking about the Tommy Wiseau. I'm talking about the Brie Larson one.
That was a good movie, but they're very different, unique structure. Well, we're not getting into that right now. Move on to the next comment, damn it.
I will. Jill apologizes to Cinema Gulp, and Cinema Gulp says it's fine. But you know what? It was, and so Jill says, okay, that did make me laugh when the motorbike exploded. I thought it was so out of the blue.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. Actually, you know what? And so what do we got? Tom used to have this. Tom Jr. Jackson in the chat used to have this video on video. And I would like everyone to point and laugh and say that Tom Jr. Jackson is old.
Finish reading the comment.
Sorry?
Finish reading his comment.
Keyword being used to. Yeah, you're so old you got rid of your VHS. That's old.
I think it means more so that he recognized how bad the movie was and just got rid of it.
No, Tom regrets his departure from Destiny Turns on the Radio. I love Tom, and you should all be a goof person. Jill says, sorry, what did you say, Kat?
We are all goof people.
It's true. Jill says they tie up a cop on the bed, but many hours later when they come back, the bed is still moving. How many quarters did he put in that thing? Jill, you know more about vibrating beds than most people.
That's another weird thing that he bothered doing that. It's like, okay, you're tying him up. You don't want anybody to find him. You're going to turn on the bed so it starts rocking around for some reason. And then, like you said, it's still rock. It's like, what, are you going back in there to deposit more quarters? Are you, like, really into this? It's like, I don't know.
Well, Black Philip Alvarez is in the chat, and apparently he has too much money. And so for that, thank you.
Yes, thanks to Black Philip Alvarez. Check out his channel, too, The Insomniac Hour.
Yes, absolutely. I'm on there from time to time. And for you, Phil, instead of a cigarette, I will have a perfectly legal substance. Thank you so much. I don't know. Like, what do we do? I've never had, like, I don't know what to do with super chats. Do we just leave them there? Or do we just move on?
I think you move on to the next comment, or
I just go? It seems
really I have no idea. I'm not in control.
It seems really dismissive because it's so nice that Phil gave us money.
It is nice. This is why it's got the big bright light on the channel. We are very grateful for it. And
yeah, I don't know. People don't throw money at me usually. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Jill goes on, says, I was offended when Julian was a litter bug and
this is great. And tossed the box that the flowers came in. A way worse crime than robbing a bank. Oh, God.
It has been so long since I've heard the phrase litter bug. Thank you.
I thought you were the notion that it's worse than robbing a bank, which I kind of like.
Well, I'm a smoker, so I throw cigarette butts out the window all the time. I'm a litter bug by definition. But I hadn't heard the phrase litter bug in a while. That's what I was laughing at. Anyway, you're adorable. Anti-derivative Jill is my favorite Amish. Also, a car chase in a residential neighborhood. Really? Agreed. Remember the car chase in the residential neighborhood, Kat?
Yeah, it's one of those two cop cars I mentioned crashed together and they didn't actually blow up, which I was amazed by.
Like, at a certain point, I was like, do these people even have permits to make a movie in Las Vegas?
Did they even film that sequence in Las Vegas? They could have.
I think it was made in Las Vegas, in and around.
Okay, and it looked like... Because that neighborhood with the hills and everything looked like... Because, spoiler alert, Las Vegas is flat as can be. There's no hills there. And it looked like the neighborhood was kind of up on a hill and an incline, and something about the trees made me think of Los Angeles, but I don't know.
Anyway, it looked like the suburbs of Las Vegas to the point that I thought Jenny Lewis was going to be in it. Jill says the only good line in the entire movie is from a cop who calls the nightclub a tarnished Xanadu. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Second best, Jill goes on to say, is when Destiny says, "With every end comes a new beginning." I liked when Tuerto says, "What are you, a fortune cookie?" I liked, uh, what's his name? That Belushi man.
Yeah.
Jim?
Jim.
I've always been a fan of Jim Belushi. How do you feel about Jim Belushi, Kat?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I don't mind. I remember his sitcom. I see him in movies every once in a while, and he had a reality show a few years ago where he's apparently becoming a weed farmer in Oregon or something.
Really? Maybe I can
Yeah.
get a job. What do you okay, which one do you like better? The movie K9 or Red Heat?
I haven't seen either. I think I've heard of Red Heat. What remind me?
Why do I hang out with you?
I can't help it. You keep asking me about these obscure films. Are they similar to these?
Red Heat has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. It's not obscure.
It may as well be. They ain't being rerun on TV 20 times a day like all the rest of his films, or certain members of his other films.
And K9 has a dog in it.
I never would have guessed.
I thank you. I love you. Anyway, Jill goes on to say also when Tuerto says, "Why do they always play song about loves?" And Escabel says, "What else is there?" And no, and my answer is better movies. Yes.
That's right. Escabel, the character, is his secretary or whatever. Okay, that's right. Yeah, there are better movies.
You know what? I feel like Jill is yelling. This is the most angry I've seen Jill ever. Um, and she continues, basically, in this movie, if Tarantino is not on screen, I want to go jump in a lake. Yeah, me too. Fair enough. Oh, Tom Jr. Jackson says Quentin Tarantino signed on the dotted line to appear in this film 2 days before his Pulp Fiction 1994 film won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Well, you know what? Then good for him.
Okay. Um, that yeah, that does kind of explain it because the Cannes Festival would have been before the film Pulp Fiction opened, meaning that it hadn't yet seen all the success yet, which is probably why he signed on because it was a job. So that kind of explains that, meaning that it wasn't necessarily that they wanted his name attached, but they just said, "Hey, you act in movies sometimes. Here's something you might want to do." That's kind of weird though, because it's like if he signed on the dotted line to appear in the movie and it hasn't even opened at Cannes yet, when the whole movie seems to be a reaction to Pulp Fiction, or maybe I mean maybe it's not as much a reaction to Pulp Fiction because watching it,
It
like I
could
said,
be
it's not told
it
out of
could be a
chronology.
reaction to Reservoir Dogs.
That's true. It could be because it does involve the aftermath of a heist that you never get to see or hear much anything about, and a mystery thief and stuff like that. So yeah, it could be.
It's it's the weird supernatural element that makes it interesting to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Palme d'Or.
Dior.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mispronounce it. Jill says, "We never see the spirit world Johnny Destiny goes to. It just powers the sign in the end." Yeah, I
Well,
thought that was weird.
you see him in the stars.
Well, yeah, but you get like a voiceover, like "It's a Wonderful Life" at the end.
Well, because the sign does power up, but then you see the two stars of him and her like twinkling and voiceover or whatever. So it's like,
Well, they talk to each other.
right, that's what I mean. So it's not just powering the sign; it's that they're now somehow metaphysically up in the sky as stars.
You know what? If you want to see a better version of this movie, I would recommend watching Danny Boyle's A Life Less Ordinary. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It is so good. It is a romantic love letter that has Delroy Lindo. I don't know why that's my first off the ticker, but like Ewan McGregor, Holly Hunter, Cameron Diaz, who played the robot in Alien?
Lance Henriksen,
No, the other one, Alien.
Ian Holm.
That's the one. So much better. Anyway, Tom says it reminded me nothing of a Tarantino movie. Fine. Fine. Stop yelling. You don't have to. Tom goes on to say if you are going to review Tarantino films, they should be written and directed by him.
Written or directed, not necessarily both.
But no, but also starring. Like we're doing this starring, the acting aspect as well. The final film in our retrospective is going to be Desperado.
Yeah, and while it's only a theory that he's a proxy writer director of the first half from Dusk Till Dawn, it's never been proven. So technically, he's just an actor in that as well, at least for our purposes. So yeah,
we're just sort of celebrating the entire filmography. Celebrating this one, we're shitting on. The rest of them, we're enjoying.
No. The fact that we're even bothering to give this film the time of day, much less so far 71 minutes 38 seconds of time, tells us that we may as well be celebrating it. Never mind, that's 45 seconds now.
Oh, and he's doing a countdown. Hey, Cam, it's good to see you. Ahoy. And Phil is back, and we got. Hang on a second. How do I? Yeah. Ahoy. Hey, Cam. I gotta see. Hang on. I'm not as good at this as Steve.
He's not with us tonight, is he?
No, he died. And so Jill says, sitcom acting is too nice. It's more like soap opera Hallmark movie acting. That's actually, you know what? You're right.
He died, huh?
Well, no, he'll get better. Who else do we have? Who else? Phil says that someone was in Three Men and a Baby. Oh, yeah, no, she was in. Was she in Three Men and a Baby or Three Men and a Little Lady?
Who are you talking
Nancy
about?
Travis.
Again, I have never heard of this person until this movie, so...
You've never heard of Nancy Travis? My stars.
Should I have?
Well, I always thought that she was a person.
There's a lot of people that I haven't necessarily heard of.
Well, no, but she was an actress that I always sort of, she was a big thing in the 90s. Like she was in a Michael J. Fox movie called Greed with
it says she's known for
Kirk Douglas.
It says she's known for Last Man Standing.
Last Man.
No, she was in both Three Men and a Baby and Three Men and a Little Lady.
There you go. So there's your Star Trek connection.
Is that a Star Trek connection?
Well, Three Men and a Baby was directed by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh.
Yeah. Come on, Kat, catch up.
That's probably because I haven't seen that film.
You've never seen Three Men and a Baby?
No, I've not. I've heard about it.
You know what? I am so ecstatic whenever I hear about movies that you've never seen.
I've just never been. I mean, I think it's on HBO Max, but I just have never had an interest in watching it. It's like, okay, that looks like
it's funny.
Okay.
Oh, I know. As soon as we're done this stream, I know what I am sending you. I know.
I don't know what it is, so we'll see.
It'll be like I don't know, a Jared Leto box. All
right.
Cam's Crash Course says, aren't you dead? You look dead. Zombie? Hey, Ashley's in the chat. Hey, Ashley.
Hey.
Ashley Lynn Gaia, and my bad, is on every Wednesday night and hopefully soon. And there are people. I just ordered it. Oh wow, Cam just ordered the Blu-ray of Conan.
Nice.
Do you have Conan?
What?
Do you have Conan?
I don't have it, but I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah. You know what I just found out the other day? Is that in Red Sonja, Arnold Schwarzenegger is in Red Sonja, but he doesn't play Conan. I didn't know. I thought it was a Conan movie. And Ashley Lynn Geistorm says, wanted to pop in to show some love. I gotta get my show set up. Hope to see you guys there. Please, everyone, subscribe. I love you, me. I do too. Thank you. And scrolling. Get this show a rolling. Oh, wait. And Tom says, and Scott is a putz, but we don't hold it against him. Agreed. And I'm, oh, wait, what the hell? This is our most profitable show.
Thank you.
Destiny Turns on the Radio is the Fantasmagorium's most profitable show.
What does that say about our series of all of the things we've ever done?
We do all of the James Bonds.
Tom sends in a $5 super chat and says, for Kat, here's your 1 hour 42 minutes back. Thank you, Tom.
All right, we'll cut you a check.
Steve's gonna love to hear this.
No, and Kat, you gotta shake him down. That is $5 with urgency. And that's from an American to an American. So it's not the bullshit from like when I tip things and it's in Canadian and it's like I tip $5 and it's like here's your $3.49. That's $5 in your pocket. Anyway.
Cross country.
I can't believe it. Heavens.
Thank you.
Black Philip Alvarez says, the K9 trilogy rules. I didn't know there were 3 of them. And then Tom says, Red Heat is great. It is. It's fantastic. Cam thinks it is as well. We should totally, review it. And Cinema Gulp, our good friends at Cinema Gulp. By the way, this show is brought to you by our good friends at Cinema Gulp. You should go and check out all of their content. There's a bunch of it. And we're going to be soon talking about our favorite R-rated action movies. And then later on, we're going to be talking about Fletch. So, fun. And Nancy Travis was in both. Right.
Yeah, 3 Men and a Baby and 3 Men and a Little Lady. End of the first and a lot of the second.
Well, no, and in 3 Men and a Little Lady, I don't know if I've seen a lot of it. I don't remember it that much. But you've never seen 3 Men and a Baby?
No. I've been aware of it for many years. I've been aware of it.
You should watch it. It's fun. But I know it's Goodnight, Sweetheart with I'm gonna send it. It's gonna be do 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 do. Good night, sweetheart.
That's a great song.
Yeah, but you get Steve Guttenberg and Magnum P.I. and Sam Malone singing it. It's great. Anyway, so that's the end of the chat.
The Platters sing that better than anybody. Yeah, well, okay, that is the end of the chat. But this has been a very
what a ride
and crazy episode of Bullets, Blades, and Babes with a chaotic 1 hour pregame show. And
thank you.
The episode was pretty meta, like Scott said it would be.
Next week we're going to be going ahead with Django Unchained.
Oh wow!
I know. I can't wait for all the N words.
Yeah. Just don't forget to end the stream when you put in the outro after the outro finishes.
Well, so are we done? Do you just want to get a taco?
Let's go get tacos.
All right, hang on a second. Let me just find the drive-through. Oh, all right. Let's go get a taco.